We do have somebody from Edwards Air Force Base that would like to speak to us as a community, so I'm going to turn the floor to them. Excuse me.
We're not done. You know, in October we're going to have an air show.
Yeah, we're not
It's going to affect the town. Let's hear what they have to say.
Thank you. So I'm Danny Gazelle. I've owned a home here in Rosemont for 30-some years. My son lives here now. I live down below. I am the Chief of Community Engagement for Edwards Air Force Base. Dennis finally decided to retire, and I was able to take over his job. But we do have an air show coming up and a big STEM Expo, October 14th, 15th, and 16th. How many of you were here back in 2009 when we had that air show? Okay, so this is the people we want to talk to. So I'm going to bring up Major Sam Freeland. He is our air show executive director. Is that the right title? Director. He's the air show director. So he's heading up this whole thing, and he's going to talk about the traffic control with this air show coming up and other things.
Yes, so October 15th and 16th open to the general public for those of you who are not DoD ID card holders. Otherwise, the 14th is going to be open to those who normally have access to the base as a rehearsal, kind of a dry run for them. And a huge component for us this year, too, is our STEM Expo. The Friday, we're actually opening up at schools across Kern, LA County, and the local area. And the initial interest count was 10 to 11,000 students. So really using a lot of those Edwards technical expertise and resources and targeting students to learn and inspire, whether they want to be in the Air Force or whatever they want to do to kind of serve their country in the future and give back there. That we are able to give one of our largest buildings on Edwards dedicated to that. Currently 50 to 60 STEM Expo booths with hands-on activities for kids. So for those of you who have kids who think that would be great there, I know I told my son that there's a robotics field and now he has to go. So. But I saw a lot of hands for 2009, so I think one of the primary concerns, if anyone remembers that, is traffic. I think in 2020, when they were drafting a plan to do it again, hired a professional parking consultant to get some numbers. I think one of the challenges, especially in the military background, is we are not experts in large traffic events. That's not necessarily what I'm trained to do.
What?
I safely operate an aircraft is what I get to do as my primary job. So we hired somebody, we got some expertise in that, and I think we've have a much better assessment of the limitations just associated with Edwards and a military installation that is obviously not built to say, how many people can we get on here in a day? That is not the purpose, right? The other 362 days a year, the goal is security and vetting people. So we currently know what our capabilities and limitations are, and we have some cutoff points. We also have significantly improved capabilities now with communicating with the general public to let them know what that capacity is, whether it be through our social media. We have an app that'll be rolling out here. We'll try to encourage people to subscribe to alerts so we can communicate with them on traffic situations so they know where it stands, and they can make informed decisions about trying to attend the show. Vehicle messaging systems, we've got permits for those along the local highways, so back towards Avenue A, D, people back in there, when we start to reach those capacity limits, we can make that decision and we can inform people so they can turn around. Another big one, big thanks, had a meeting with California Highway Patrol last week, and just the lights and traffic through the town, that they're going to be manning a lot of those intersections, and you'll have somebody there who can assess that situation and help traffic get in and out of there. Because Rosemont, just looking at the lights and the structure and that professional assessment, it is a choke point for the amount of people who are going to try to flow through here. So I think some of our biggest assets is communicating that, having our decision points, and being able to reach out to people before they create those problems, because Edwards definitely is not made to turn cars around either too, and I think that was a 2009 challenge. Have a lot of space to put people, but once they're there, they're kind of committed as far as how much traffic backed up the base, and when they did make those decisions, what they had. So we're backing up a lot of those decision points and identifying targeted areas where when we do inform people, either at an exit, that they have the ability to turn around. Because I've heard a lot of inputs. I'm not sure if some of you have 4 or 5 hour wait times without making it in, and then you turn around and you make that decision on your own, and nobody had any kind of feedback on what the situation was or what they could have done to make it better. October 17th, 2009 was the last show. we have a 2-day show too. So as far as that demand too, spreading it out over 2 days should also get more people in. One, the general public and everybody in Rosemont, give you better chances to attend, and also alleviate some of those pressures by giving people 2 choices. And if they get there early and we communicate on the first day they couldn't get into the air show, that they will have the next day as well as a backup, and they'll probably understand the situation, how early they need to get there. Those are some of our major challenges, things we've addressed, but I really think it's just going to be a great event, so I also would like to encourage everyone to come out there if you get the opportunity, specifically with being located here in Kern County. Your transit times and ability to get in there, your odds go up significantly of being able to attend an event. We would love to have you all there. It is the Aerospace Valley Air Show. So we are trying to incorporate, it is not the Edwards Air Show. It is for all these people, and I definitely didn't grow up in a community like this. The amount of ties to the aerospace industry around here and some of that fanaticism and enthusiasm that we're tapping into there. Just when I tell people in my neighborhood and everywhere they work and what they do, they're just feeding kind of off that energy. So I appreciate everyone's support as well too in the local communities, and recognize that there will be some traffic stresses and everything like that, but I think it's well worth it in the end, especially an installation like Edwards, where you pass the gate and you have to drive about another 20 miles, to get there, that we're kind of out of sight if you don't get that. And I'm very proud to be able to open up our gates and share them with the public and show, because I get to go to work every day and sit out there and peek out my window once in a while, and I get an air show every day. And we're so remote that I don't feel like anyone else really gets to enjoy that all the time. So it's really a pleasure for everyone at Edwards to be able to open that up, and the families and everyone who wears the uniform and all our civilian employees to be able to open that up and share with you what we did. So I'd like to also open it up for questions, or if there's a concern you think we're not addressing or we could probably do better with.
Without traffic, how long would it take to get to where the air show is from here?
From
You said it
here,
was like another 20 miles after you get on the coast.
Oh, I can answer that.
30 miles.
It's 8.5 miles. Once you see the sign that says "Welcome to Edwards" down here, 8.5 miles to the guard shack. It's another 7.5 miles then to the general's headquarters building, and the entry points are near that. So it's another 15 miles.
yes.
30.
30 is probably a good planning factor if everything's moving.
Pack 'em lunch.
Yes.
Bring it there.
30 minutes is probably a good planning factor until traffic saturation happens as well too, because it's kind of a gamble on how long that'll take. We're looking to put in some messaging as well at our entrance, and possibly track a few cars, plant some people and say, hey, let us know how long your commute takes, and then feeding that information back through our social media and our applications. Hey, if you're at this point, I know some people here have probably been Yosemite, where it says, hey, you're 2 hours from point X. We don't do this every day of the year to have as much data as Yosemite does to say you're 2 hours from this event. But if we have a couple people plant at the gate and say, hey, when did you get to the lake bed to park? And how long did that take you? We can feed that back to some of our tracking points and our signs, specifically right at the Edwards sign or at the entrance, to give people current estimates if things are moving in steady state around a half hour. So.
Now, is the gates going to be open? Is there any security concerns when you got on there? Are people just going to be constantly
Yeah,
going through?
yeah, there's always security concerns, right? It's probably taken a majority of my meetings is kind of addressed to that, because it is very unique, and with any military installation and those programs where the traffic's going to be guided, our intersections will have traffic control points to monitor.
No, I mean, getting onto the
base.
base, are they just going to wave people through? Or they're going to
Wave through.
Okay.
Yep. If somebody's not telling you to stop, they're going to be sending you on through. So we are going to be maximizing that. We've added an additional lane, kind of a counterflow concept to increase our capacity through the gates to be able to support that. So.
They are on the lookout for people with goatees.
And then,
So,
I rest my case.
and you can go to our website, eafbairshow.com, for current stuff. And I know they're recently reviewing the prohibited items list to make sure that'll give you a good essay. Everyone will get processed through an entry control point with a metal detector, and there will be teams there doing that for safety purposes. So, yes.
So, Sam, so in the 2009 air show, personally, I've been to every air show at Edwards since 1967. So one of the biggest issues during the 2009 was the sheer volume of people that wanted to come out to it. But once they got on the base, they were checking cars. They were looking for, they were doing security checks on the vehicles as they came in, which backed everybody up into Palmdale and into Mojave. When it came to parking them out on the lake bed, they only had 1 to 2 entry points? One entry point into the parking lot. So when you've got this massive flow of vehicles and they're going through one gate, that's where the backup occurred. So this year, Sam and the parking consultant and all that, and everybody else on base are civil engineers. They've got multiple entry points onto the lake bed. We're bringing in, if you live north of Rosemont Boulevard, the only way you're going to get to the air show is to go around through Mojave to the north gate, which actually is the quickest one to get onto the lake bed. So even if you live south of the gate, take Don Road and go on up there, get around to the north gate. That'll get you in faster, most likely. South gate will be closed up to only air show personnel. So keep that in mind if you live, well, you're all Rosemont people, but the people in Lancaster won't be able to get in through the south gate. As he said, we have 3 lanes inbound once you hit that sign. The 4th lane has to be left open for emergency vehicle access. And then the same thing on the exit at the end of the day. It'll be 3 lanes outbound and 1 lane inbound. So that with Kern County Roads has agreed to reset the timers on the lights, right? Or are they all going to be flashing?
We initially engaged with Caltrans for the lights here, and they said it was pretty easy to give favoritism to traffic traveling east and west on Rosamond, and they would increase the green, but that's when California Highway Patrol came in with authority, because they have the bodies there to manage the traffic. So being on site, they can exercise their authority to wave that traffic through, and if they identify it, they'll be able to go to flashing red for those trying to cross north to south, to prioritize air show traffic to get them through.
And we're cutting it off 45,000 people a day, right? That's our intent.
We anticipate if it's steady flow, about the most we could get on there is 45,000. If that demand is steady from the beginning of gate opening until when we would need to close it to give people a chance to turn around.
Well, I for one appreciate all the effort going into that, because for the 2009 air show, the guy on the base that I felt sorry for was the guy who got all the complaint calls.
And that was Dennis.
That would be me.
And now Danny's got it, so I try not to do that to him. That
No,
is the-
now it's okay. But it was, yeah, I don't give him my number. There were hundreds of complaints, and for every person that calls, there are dozens more that don't. So
And it was all traffic related.
it was all traffic related.
So on that flyer, there's a barcode or a QR code. If you scan that, it's not going to take you to the air show website. It's going to take you to a form, because we need volunteers. We need a lot of volunteers to help with traffic control, trash control, fog control, just all the logistics. We can't take our cops and have them picking up stuff, and moving things around. We need volunteers. So if you're interested in volunteering, that's an easy way to get you into the air show, and you'll have to work while the show's going on. But
Yeah, and there's a lot of other opportunities logistically set up and stuff too. We'll be identifying, got a lot of stuff to just set up in preparation for it too. And I know the folks on base would appreciate it when we're looking at how many people are in your organization. Okay, we're going to need them all, but when we do get volunteers, we have opportunities to offset that or utilize them in different ways, because it is a full team effort for the number of people. Our estimates are around 2,500 volunteers. Construct of Edwards is about 2,500 active duty civilians and about 8,000, or active duty folks and about 8,000 civilians. So trying to meet that versus our organizational structure is a challenge, and volunteers really help us with that. And then also kind of that Aerospace Valley Air Show concept too, of your involvement, making it more of a community event. We want to be involved. We want to share that with everybody. So.
Thank you so much.
And we're here for afterwards if
Yeah.
anyone has questions. That way you guys can wrap your meeting up.
Thank you guys
so
very
much.
much.
I appreciate
Thank
it.
you for the time, everybody.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
Appreciate it.
One more, we're gonna do Kern County Sheriff's statistics real quick, and then we're gonna close out our meeting.
All right, I appreciate everyone's patience.
Thank you.
All right, so real quick, I know it's been a tough month for the community. As far as that fire goes at Kleindower Park, as soon as that was discovered, I got a phone call from Supervisor Scrivener's office. So we do have our figure on the heartbeat. Real quick, since January 21st to midnight, the sheriff's office has had over 1,000 calls for service. I say over 1,000 because anytime we hit 1,000, it's hard to keep track and get a reliable number out of that. Out of those thousands, that 1,000 calls for service, 41 of them were from Roseman. So that's you people calling 911, or you guys calling the non-emergency number and saying, hey, someone's breaking into my neighbor's house. Out of those 41 calls for service, 15 people were arrested. And out of those, in addition to the 41 calls for service, we also had 4 officer on-site initiated things. That would be a deputy driving around Roseman, seeing something that requires law enforcement action that hasn't been reported. And as far as comparison of here to the rest of the county, Boron, 2 arrests, Mojave, 8 arrests, Tehachapi, 10 arrests, and Roseman, 15. The majority of the calls for service that we got out of those 41 for that month would have been, unfortunately, domestic violence, assault and battery, crimes involving firearms such as shootings, grand theft, vehicle theft, and then 1 death investigation. I'll be around after to speak. I know we're running short on time.
Thank
so,
you, I appreciate
but
it so much.
Everyone's got my email address.
Thank you so much, you guys, for enduring this. Okay, we're gonna move on to director's referral and comments. Dennis, do you have anything for us, Jay?
Oh, I'm still hoping that we can get someone from Lorelei's office to come and give us a basic briefing on how the environmental process works. And would love to get the Union Pacific folks to come in and talk about the hazards of at-grade crossings. Other than that, no.
Okay, I will definitely write that down and check into that. Janine?
Nothing at this time, thank
Okay. Brittany?
No, thank you.
Anything at this time? The only thing I have to say is I am looking forward to welcoming Mr. McKay to our team. I'm excited about that. We have, yes, very excited about that. Election time is coming. I did re-register to rerun another year, so I'm hoping you guys will vote for me, Lisa Chuckley. And it's going to be a great year. Okay, staff comments. Do we have any staff comments today? No? Okay, so I am looking for someone to make a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
So moved in a second. Tim?
Lisa, who else is up for election this year?
There is myself, Brennan,
No,
So no,
I will not be seeking
Janine,
re-election.
I am?
and Bill Parkman.
Okay.
So there's 4 of us up for re-election. Does everybody agree to adjournment?
Yes.
Yep.
We are adjourned at 8:37.